Gather round, friends and strangers alike, as we journey into a world beyond our own. Close your eyes, open your minds, and dare to dream. You are entering the Mysterious Imperius DreamStream with your hosts, Ghost Hunter Dave, Troy to the Max Extreme, and Dinosaur Neil. Here we stand, at the end of our journey. The Mysterious DreamStream has reached its destination, and we all gather to pay our last respects. Tonight, we eulogize the Sandman series by examining the 10th and final volume, The Wake. Join us, dreamers, in remembrance of what has transpired.
Welcome to the 10th and final Imperius Mysterious DreamStream. I think I got the name right ever.
We've never really solidified on the order. But yes, this is the finale. Sandman Volume 10, The Wake.
Yeah.
Really an epilogue to the entire thing because I feel like it's not a whole lot to discuss. We'll probably wrap this thing up in just
under 2 hours.
But yeah, a lot of big stuff happened last month, and we're at the tail end of all this, and we're just gonna send it out on a dream.
That's right. That's right. On a boat. Send it out on a boat and shoot flaming arrows at it.
Just like Dream would have wanted.
That's right.
Also, before anyone goes into saying there's more Sandman, we know there's more Sandman.
Yes.
But this is canonically the last bit, and we know Overture's a whole thing. We're eventually going to get to it. Don't worry.
That's right. We have something big in the works for next month. So it just so happens to be perfectly aligned with the end of our Sandman Dream Stream and this upcoming event that we're all going to journey on.
Yes.
The next Dream Stream. But then after that, we'll probably return to Sandman and just kind of wrap up the whole thing because I want to read that Overture, those Endless Nights, and I'm intrigued on the Death miniseries as well. Oh yeah. You got a chance to get Death look yet? I think that might be the time. Might be the place.
Well, Dave, where did we leave off in Volume 9?
He's dead.
Dream is dead.
The Dream is dead.
Oof.
So
and we have somebody taking his place. New Dream.
Another Dream.
We have his, I guess, fill-in son, Daniel.
Fill-in son.
It's not really his son, right?
No, I guess it's not.
But
he
calls
calls
him
him
a
his
dream,
son.
so I guess he's like, anything in a dream, it's
Mine.
mine.
Yep. Taking that.
Taking that kid.
That one's mine.
So, funny story. I was reading this in bed one night, this last volume, and Chelsea was kind of peeking over my shoulder. And she's like, so what's going on here? I'm like, well,
I
you
have
should
no
ask
idea.
in the 10th volume, but let me try to narrow it down, because that is the point. Matthew was on the screen. There's like, there's a bird in this.
Oh.
There is very much a bird
Chelsea
in this.
like birds?
She does like a bird. Maybe not like a crow so much.
Okay. Did she watch our episode on when we really berated birds and how much we hated them?
She never watches any of
Okay,
this.
good. As it should be.
But I was trying to explain where we are at now in Sandman. And if I was saying it to anyone, it sounds like fucking garbage. Like
they would have thought you were having a seizure and speaking in tongues.
So Dream is dead. Morpheus is dead. So 2 people are dead? No, the Sandman is dead. 3 people are dead. No, it's all the same person. And the Sandman has a son named Orpheus. He's also dead. But he also has a son that's the new Dream. Oh, Orpheus is... No. It's his new son, Daniel, that is kind of his son. Not really, though, but I guess it's his son because now he's the new Dream. So, yeah, it's his son.
Right.
She's like, I don't know what any of this
Would have been easier to just been like, It's the end. What's going on here?
But
It's
anyway,
ending.
she was very much enjoying me telling her sincerely what was happening in Sandman, and it was very much testing my knowledge of Sandman.
I was gonna say, she asked you what's going on, you probably like shut the book and were like,
Time for bed.
I've been preparing for this. I can do this. Why do you suppose the Dream's son was named Daniel? I mean, it was named by Lyta.
Yeah.
But she has a weird-ass name, too. Daniel Dream just doesn't have the same ring as
It's alliterative. That's very
Morpheus and
comic book.
Orpheus.
Yeah, Morpheus and Orpheus is almost too close.
Yeah.
That's
It felt
not
like a
cool.
mistake that everyone just went along with.
Yeah. Oh, my name is Dream. My son is Reem. That's the same thing.
You know, like a paper.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Have we bullshitted enough? Should we get into it? We've got 7 live viewers now. 3 of them might be PK over here in the production booth.
Way to
Paul,
break
say
the
hi.
illusion.
Hey guys, how's it going tonight? Can you hear me?
Wow.
Can't hear you, Paul.
Can you hear?
Can we get a tech check on that?
We'll get
How's the compressor?
crew. Sorry, cut.
Compressor?
Compressor's good.
Okay.
We got Mary in the chat. She's joining us live for the first time. Welcome.
I think Mary's been doing some homework, going through our backlogs,
Checking
the annals of...
checking all the facts.
Yes. You will find that it is very loose.
She is saying, did we see this month's issue of Empire about the Netflix adaptation of The Sandman?
I didn't. I saw a new image of Dream and Lucius. Lucius?
Yeah.
That I think premiered yesterday. This image, not the show. No one knows when the show is going to be, but still looks really good.
Yeah.
And then I went and rewatched the teaser trailer for it and reminded myself, like, this does look very good.
Yeah,
Like,
it does.
Netflix is putting some money behind it,
Yeah.
which as they should. Like, this thing, Sandman should be, I mean, it should be like a Harry Potter for people like us, I would say. It has like
Cool people.
Right. I didn't just want to say it. But it has that level of gravitas and critical acclaim and everything where it's like, Sandman is a property that deserves to be done right.
Yeah.
And
hopefully
this is it.
Yeah.
Because Lock and Key wasn't.
Yeah.
Having just finally watched the 2nd season, I can say, like, no, it wasn't very good.
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
But anyway, Sandman.
What? Who?
This one, Volume 10, it's like an afterward. It's the aftermath of everything and how everything is kind of wrapping up. There's like a funeral for Morpheus.
And Awake.
I mean, I guess more aptly titled Awake. that would make more sense. And a lot of like good heartfelt feelings I felt for Matthew in this.
Yeah.
He had a lot of time in this and a lot of grief that I don't think almost anybody else shared.
No, he seemed to be like the only one that was really broken up and hurting through this whole thing. He was like the most human of almost everyone in it.
Yeah.
And he was a bird. But he is also a human before he was a bird, so he is kind of one of the few humans in the cavalcade of non-human Sandman characters.
He felt a lot like I did, though. A little bit. Like, because, like, New Dream just comes out and he's like, what's up? I'm Dream.
I'm your
It's
new best friend.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's like,
bird.
but you are...
Hey, bird.
So,
It's me, your new old best friend.
it was a weird take on, you know, how Dream comes back, or he's reincarnated as this new Dream, and he's, like, he's the same Dream, but he's not quite, and some people can't, like, Matthew can't get his head around, like, you're not the person I've been a friend with for, like, all this time.
Yeah. I think it's even hard for, like, the Endless if you are replaced by another version of yourself, such as Dream does in this. It's like, no, I've always been. It's like, yeah, but not you.
Right.
Look at you. You're not even the same color. You're all white.
Technically, he was pretty white, too. He was pretty pasty.
Yeah, but dressed white on white? That's a lot of white.
Some
Did you
Moon
guys
Knight look.
think that he just never washed his cape? So it's just
Oh.
been black in old Morpheus's cloak was all black because he like rolled around in mud all the time, so he never cleaned it. So it usually
never
started
thought
out as
that,
white. No, just me. Okay.
Or the new one just has terrible dandruff.
Oh,
And it is
yeah.
overtaking everything on his person.
Mm.
Alright. I feel like this one is more off the rails than we've ever been. And we just have to get to the finish line on this last one. So let's set it up, because we're talking about some very hot button issues here. Birds, cloaks, you name it. But let's get to it in all due time.
Mm-hmm.
So this covers issues 70 to 75, the shortest collection, I believe, of the Sandman that we've read so far.
Okay.
With the exception of some of those short story ones, Dream Country, I think.
Mm.
But those were longer issues, so I'm not counting that.
Okay, fair enough.
And this was published in 95 and 96. Michael Zulli did the biggest share of the illustrations in this.
I loved it.
Yes.
This is what I've always wanted Sandman to look like.
Yeah.
To be
Me
fair.
too.
Oh
Yes.
my god, all of it. It's
Yeah.
so good.
I'm glad we could all agree on that right up top.
Yeah.
It was so good to the point where I didn't mind the last volume, but it was so different. I would have loved to just be in an alternate universe where Michael Zulli also drew the previous one and just see like how that would have hit differently.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
it's way more emotionally resonant.
It's so moody. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no inking on it. It's all his pencils. Just
Oh,
colored.
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And then he's also joined by a John J. Muth and a Charles Vess do the other issues on this. But yeah, what an amazing
Yeah.
piece of art in
I
this.
know.
I wish he did more than 3 or 4 issues.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. But the first 3 issues of this collection deal with the wake of Morpheus after his death in the previous volume. We also get a glimpse of Daniel, as we said, Morpheus' son, who is the new incarnation of Dream, and he's starting to form new/old relationships with everyone in his
Yeah.
kingdom there. And basically the entire issue, or the entire 3-issue run there, is Morpheus' ceremony, and it's attended by various characters that we've met throughout the series. They've all entered into the dreaming one last time with him as they're saying their farewells and moving on.
Yeah. Also, possibly billions of other people.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
I did like the little spots where they had like Hobb was doing this, and then he and then he like shut his eyes. And
I
just,
did like
like
that
they
too.
did like they hit all like these big characters and how they fell asleep that night to like attend the wake.
Yep,
yep,
that was
I did
awesome.
like that.
All right. So before Paul falls asleep here, let's give him something to do. We're gonna show some
All right.
images here. Did you get that mic figured out?
I think. Can you all hear me in the chat?
It's on the chat. The chat is
Can you-
populated mainly
there's a
by
lot of chat
you
talk
and
tonight.
versions of yourself.
Anyways,
Let's get to it.
let's get to it.
We gotta move this thing along.
I also forgot to flip this.
All right. Well,
The
it's
timer
okay, 'cause-
started 15 minutes ago or whatever.
All right, so we kick it off. The Endless are gathering at Litharge.
Mhm.
How do you pronounce that? That necropolis.
I said Lafarge.
Litharge,
Yeah.
which we learned about this place in the World's End volume, and they have to get Dream's sacrament from the catacombs.
Mhm.
Troy, if you remember correctly, this was the one issue that you didn't read.
Yes. I do remember now reading it.
Yes, nice. It'd be a shame if you forgot that. But for whatever made-up rules in this universe, the Endless can't go into the catacombs.
Right.
So they manifest basically like a homunculus,
Yeah.
which they call an envoy, and they send him in to do it. And they make him out of mud.
Yep.
They're like, what should we call him? And of course, Delirium's like, Plippy Ploppy Cheese Nose, of course. They're like, no. And she's like, okay, how about Eblis O'Shaughnessy? They're like, all right, that'll do.
Sure.
That's it. That's Eblis, all right.
That's as serious as we're gonna get here.
Yeah. This is as serious as you're going to take this. So they create this little guy, or this big guy, out of mud, and they send him into the catacombs to get Dream's, they call it a sacrament, but it's like a burial cloak, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
And then he
And a large
just hangs
book.
out with, and the book. And then old Eblis just hangs out with him for the rest of the book. They're like, well, I mean, we gave him life. I guess we can't just like scrape him off our shoes now. This mud man. But he's one of the team now.
Yeah. He's
One of the dream team.
And he finds it without a hitch.
Oh yeah, he
He's
fits right in.
Yeah, hey, just follow this floating jellyfish throughout these catacombs. It'll lead you right to it. Makes no sense why the other people can't, but rules, I guess.
Yeah, yep. Why didn't they just send the jellyfish to get it?
Not,
I don't know.
The book was too heavy. Yeah.
Somewhere Neil Gaiman just had someone walk over his grave. It's like, I could have had the jellyfish do it. So we move on. Eblis gets Dream's cloak, and meanwhile we check in on Daniel. So he is just sitting high and mighty on the throne there, and he's restoring all of the fallen inhabitants of the Dreaming. Because he is unable to attend the funeral for whatever reason. For more dream rules, I guess.
Yeah, it is like more rules just because it's like, it'd be like kind of attending your funeral.
You don't want to no one wants to see that.
No, it'd be too hard for everybody to see you just be like taking, it'd be like wearing white at somebody else's wedding. You know? You don't do that. And look, he's already wearing
wearing the white. You know who would look great at the funeral? Other Dream.
Yep.
Yeah.
God damn. What could have been? So, as we go on, we see that he resurrects Abel at the request of Cain.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it, I didn't get to kill him. Bring him back.
That whole like exchange between them, it's like, all right, well, describe him to me. And he's like, describing him as just like a piece of shit, you know? And then like the new Dream was like, all right. Fine.
I got him.
Shut up.
Yeah. You sure you want me to bring this guy back?
I've got a pumpkin man to make, so if you could get moving.
I've got a lot more important people to make. And that's true.
And on that note, well, if we can go back to that slide, we see the resurrection of the one and only Merv.
Oh my god.
Golly.
So cool.
Didn't even skip a beat.
No,
and he's got a pipe now. Did he always have a pipe?
I thought he had a stogie.
Oh, it is. Okay, yeah, it is a stogie. Yeah.
Either way, it would have been cool.
Yep. I love the smoke going out his eyes, too, his eye holes. And he gets back and he's just like, so what the hell are you looking at? It's like, goddamn. Bless him.
Hey, don't tell me anything. I'm on break.
Yeah.
So blue collar.
Oh, salt to the earth.
Yeah.
That Merv. Is it Merv?
Yep.
Yes, Merv.
Yeah.
I'm a bit out of sorts. I think I got a contact high from Paul over there.
Well, you kissed him
he's
every
reaching-
edible.
Yeah. He baby birded it to me. So Daniel goes around, resurrects all these people, gets to Fiddler's Green, and he's like, all right, Fiddler, let's get you back to fiddling. He materializes him there right before his eyes, and Fiddler declines the resurrection protocol, if you will. We're talking Xavier.
Better off dead.
Yeah, he says it would make his death and life meaningless. And he says, I lived a good life, and it ended. Why would you take that away from me?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay.
The way Gaiman puts it there, too, I'm like, it like makes perfect sense. Like for any character, really. It's like, no, I've lived this amazing life. Like, I had a great ending to it or whatever, and like, just let me be.
Got stabbed really good with that sword by that bitch.
It was great. You know, I might have seen it coming, but you know, or I might have deserved it even. I don't even know. I don't know.
Fiddler's Green, baby.
Yes. I'm dead. Teddy Roosevelt looking motherfucker.
Yeah. I think maybe it's been said in this, but it's definitely kind of a literary quote where it's like stories don't have a purpose or they don't have a meaning until they end. So like by removing the ending and having him be endless, then it's like, well, then he doesn't really have a point. Right. You know, nothing has been of any real value.
Yeah.
And on that same slide there, we see Matthew just stewing in heartache, just wrecked with guilt. He's hating himself because he feels like he should have been there.
Should have been me.
Should have been there. I left him. Just really beating himself up over it. And he's hanging out with Eve, right? Is that like who he's always with in this cave?
Yeah, it's
what was going on with him and Eve?
I don't know.
Just friends.
They didn't have like a whole lot of other communication before this, right?
I think like one issue maybe.
Yeah, that's probably about it. Not a lot.
Nope. But then as we go on, we meet this wide array of characters all falling asleep and traveling into the dreaming, and this is some of the ones that we were talking about there as we see them all kind of nod off. A lot of familiar faces. Nuala, Rose, Richard Maddock was one where I was like, who is this guy again? He was the writer who was raping the muse that he bought, and Dream like cursed him with an overflow of ideas. Like, why are they bringing that shithead back in here? But he's one of them.
Yeah, I forgot to look that up because that was a guy, and I'm like, I can't remember exactly who that was, but I thought it was the guy that couldn't like stop thinking or something like that.
He had so many ideas, and he has his hands like wrapped up in mittens, and he's in like a insane asylum or some kind of like resting home, because I think when we last saw him, he was writing with his own like sanded down fingers because the ideas just kept coming. So he was like just writing them on the wall and breaking the skin and just writing it in blood.
Sick.
Yeah, not in a good place.
He's hardcore.
Dream did him dirty. As dirty as that guy did the muse, I guess. So he had it coming. Real piece of shit. There's also Lyta, Alex Burgess, the son of the man who imprisoned Dream to begin with. Hob, the Angels, who we last saw in Hell, just lounging about on the balcony. Lady Bast, the cathead god, who just wants to fuck Dream. Something awful. The Centaur Man from the World's End. Titania. Everyone. All the greats.
They're all back.
And they're here, and they're like, what's going on? Here's the Endless. They're, like, building this, like, mausoleum, essentially. And they're looking great there.
Yeah,
Except Despair, obviously.
She's looking as good as she
good
ever
as she
has.
Bit of a glow up there.
But that's an amazing image right there. That huge, like, upshot of, like, looking up at them, and there's, like, these gods in the sky.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then as it goes on, we get kind of the perspective of this story being told through all of these various characters who wandered into the dreaming as the Endless build this house of remembrance there with their eyes. Lots of just kind of weird little character actions here.
Yeah, small little interactions between a little bit of everybody.
Yeah, and there's this one guy, this unnamed guy, who I just really like this piece that he says where the woman he's talking to asks for a handkerchief, and he says, I have a piece of cloth from the curtains that hung over my bed as a child. I remember the way the sunlight would creep over and touch it in the morning. This was the friendly curtain, the one on the right. The one on the left I knew somehow was unfriendly. By the time I was 3 or 4, I no longer gave the objects around me personalities. Soon I forgot I had ever done so.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what just an interesting, very, like, relatable story from someone's childhood where it's like, yeah, I remember doing dumb shit like that as a kid.
Yeah. I also enjoyed that one line, too, because I was trying to place that guy. I'm like, I don't think he's a guy. He's just a guy.
Yeah.
I got more fixated on the person who had like the face sewn on their
face. I was like,
what the fuck is this guy doing in here?
That guy's here to murder.
He needs a handkerchief.
Oh man.
I've had about enough of you.
We get some other heroes in this shot too.
Oh yeah.
You got them in here?
Not in this part. Let's hold off.
Okay, you got it.
But there is a moment here where where Lucian is talking with old Plippy Ploppy Cheese Nose, and they say, "Who died?" And I think it's Lucian says, "Nobody died. How can you kill an idea?" And the guy says, "Then who are you mourning?" He says, "A point of view." It's like, yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of what happened with Dream. It was through Morpheus's point of view, and now he's gone. But like the idea of him is still alive, and now it's just through a different set of eyes.
Yeah,
I like that.
That was very good.
Yeah, and then Cain tries to kill Abel, as he always does, and Lucius is like, Cain, not today.
Yeah.
Not today, Cain. Can you just stop?
Guy's a prick.
Yeah.
Golly. Yeah. Kane sucks. Like, the more they showed up through all this, I'm like, I'm fucking sick of these two. Kill both of them.
They are unbearable in the audiobook version of this.
Oh, really?
Like, Abel is just a blubbering buffoon, and it is, you can't listen to it. When I heard it, it just, like, made me want to claw my ears listening to that actor read it. It was awful.
The one thing I really don't care for the Cain and Abel characters are for, like, I don't care, like, Cain can be himself, like a kind of a evil dickhead or whatever.
Yeah.
But why go in the far opposite direction and have Abel be like a blubbering idiot?
Yeah.
Why can't he just be kind of like just nice? And not have to be like, do that. Like, I would want to kill you too.
Right.
You're annoying as fuck.
He's a bit of the idiot man-child Lenny from Mice and Men situation there.
Anyway, I couldn't stand that. And it seemed like they maybe leaned into it more as the stories went on, because I didn't really pick up on that as much when it started.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But anyway, yeah, they drove me nuts. They could go away.
They could go away. One of them almost did.
Yep.
I see our chat's lit up there.
What? Yeah, super
Check
chat
that out,
from
Troy.
John Carlos.
What's over there? What does it
Oh.
say?
Whoa. Read it, Troy. He's still working, so he's going to have to catch the replay, just stopping in to show some support. That was a great book club. Can't wait to see what's next.
Ooh.
What a legend.
Thanks,
Man,
Thank you, John.
thanks, John.
Really appreciate it. Moving on, Orpheus's mother now we're meeting again, and she's reflecting on her relationship with Morpheus. And a lot of the people that are talking about their relationship with him come off like it's the most human, mundane relationship that they had.
Yeah.
Where it's like he's a god, essentially, and so is she, to an extent. And they're just talking about, like, yeah, we were just kind of drifting apart. I thought having a baby would bring us closer together. You know, it's like, do you hear yourselves?
This was that never works in any movie.
Right. Don't you have movies over there? We also hear some insight from the crazy homeless woman, Mad Hetty, who shares a story about how Dream would always give her, like, ancient coins that she would never spend. Probably because what the fuck is she going to do with, like, this Roman doubloon or whatever? But she's recounting her time with him. And then we also see Nuala and Cluracan, and Nuala's still feeling guilty for booning him up there and pretty much sentencing him to death.
Yeah.
And we also get a weird, like, Cluracan doppelganger that reveals that he was impersonating him at one point when he talked with Nuala, and that he's, like, gonna kill Cluracan at some point. He's got, like, antlers and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck
His
is
nemesis
this?
or whatever?
Yeah, and then it never comes back. So, like, maybe it happens in one of the spin-off titles of The Dreaming or something, but it's like, oh, could have done without that. 'Cause he's, like, my least favorite character in this entire thing. And then you just, like, leave this window open of, like, oh, but look what we're cooking up. Doesn't matter. Wasn't sorry that we never get any more to that. And then we also see Lyta meeting Rose and Jed, the siblings. And Jed looks remarkably like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
I almost read him as Shaggy all the time.
The shit he says, you might as well just have Shaggy spouting it. He says,
Does he say that at any point in time?
he says, weird, she was the old woman that used to live in my head. So, it's a bit of a Shaggy type of thing.
Got a sandwich there, Scoob.
But they meet Lyta, and she's like, hey, look, I'm pregnant. Lyta's like, oh, I think you should probably kill that baby, because it's only going to break your heart. And Rose is like, I don't think so. Say hi to Carla for me.
Yeah.
Little does she know, Carla's fucking dead, Rose. It's all your fault. And then on the next page, we see Matthew still struggling with Dream's death, and he's just repeating, like, why'd you let it happen? Why'd you let it happen? And Lucian says, I think he did a little more than let it happen. Sometimes one must change or die, and in the end, there were perhaps limits to how much he could let himself change. Common thread that is mentioned time and time again in Sandman.
Yeah.
But very interesting. Really makes you wonder, like, how much was just this crazy suicidal plan that Morpheus was cooking up through this whole thing.
Yeah.
Because he knew, like, he would have to change. But he also knew he would not. He, the Morpheus Dream Lord, would not change.
Right.
But maybe his next incarnation could. So he had to just, like, step stage left and let in old Daniel
Yeah.
take the reins.
What a man thing to do, though. It's like, yeah, I'd rather die than change.
very, very good way of putting it. And that's pretty much him in character through this whole thing.
Right.
Like when he talks about the very next one here, where they talk with Thessaly, who is another one of his romantic flings, and she's explaining their relationship and how they were like head over heels in love, and then it just kind of like petered out, and she's like, I think I'm gonna leave, and he's like, okay,
All right.
go. And she's like, and you didn't even ask me to stay. You didn't care. You cared more about your work than me. It's like, what a fucking shithead Dream is. He's just a dude. I don't give a shit. Stay or go. Whatever.
All right, whatever, man.
I got my bird.
We're playing Call of Duty over here.
Yeah. really been working on my music. My Cure cover band. I think this is the page that you're referring to there,
Yeah.
where we get some cameos.
Yeah. So we got just a neat little cameo of Batman and Martian Manhunter for some reason.
And Clark Kent.
Is that Clark Kent?
Yep.
Cool.
And then we also the Trenchcoat Brigade there of Constantine, Mr. E, and the Phantom Stranger, I believe.
I couldn't place Mr. E. I didn't know who that was. I thought it was like Constantine, Phantom Stranger, and Rorschach.
I was gonna say it does
maybe.
look a little Rorschach-ian, but I believe it's Mr. E.
Okay.
And then we get our centaur friend and Hob. Hob always like sees himself as just this old beggar.
Yeah.
I do like how like they're all. It's almost like when you go into the Matrix and they're looking at their idealized self there, and Batman looks very spooky. And I like that Clark Kent or that Superman is Clark Kent.
Yeah.
And apparently in Gaiman's original script, he was supposed to have the cape like bunched up under his suit jacket and everything, because he believed that like Clark Kent's nightmare would be that it's revealed that he's Superman. So like in the dream, he's like constantly like always like afraid it's gonna show, and he's covering it up.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I'm like,
I always
that's pretty
wondered,
good.
like, how do you keep a cape in a
three-piece
double-breasted suit?
Yeah.
Like, without it just flopping out all the time.
Well, if you're Superman, you just crush that cape down.
Do a diamond.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose does Superman have to go to the bathroom ever?
Who knows?
Like, is it a
Great
thing?
question.
Because if, like, he goes to the bathroom, sits down, and goes, like, pull his pants up or whatever, pull up his trousers,
Yeah.
I think he's forgetting to tuck that cape in every once in a while?
Not Superman.
Well,
Only in his dreams. His nightmares.
I know I would. Half the time I forget to zip my fly. Just have a piece of cake coming out of his fly.
Sir, I think your dick's out.
It's awfully red. Oh no, it's just my cape. It's much better. Much less weird.
I also love Batman's curly shoulders.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
do too.
Yeah.
It's like a kind of a Kelly Jones look, right?
Yeah,
Does he
I-
actually have the curly shoulders?
I don't know if they're curly, but they're pointy.
They're very pointy.
I love a good pointy-shouldered Batman. I don't know what they ever are, but I love it.
They're just oddly bunched. He just it's like a cowlick for his cape.
Anytime I draw Batman, I draw him with the pointy shoulders because I like a pointy-shouldered Batman.
Yeah, kind of a Spawn look.
It
I think
kinda
Spawn
is.
always had
Yeah.
pointy shoulders.
Yeah.
He had a lot of spikes though, so it
Oh,
might just be a spike under that pointy shoulder. All bunched up.
Chat, what do you think about pointy-shouldered Batman? Let us know.
Let's get
Yeah.
down to it. Let's answer some questions. We're all working tonight. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. So shortly after the wake begins, they put the sacrament over the body, which is an awesome visual there.
Oh, yeah.
His the empty slab, it suddenly has his form as soon as they lay it over him.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe it has his mask symbol on it,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. Never really got the deal with the mask, but not for me to know, I suppose.
Yeah.
Some things are not meant for human understanding. We also see old Lady Bast again, just really dwelling on the fact that they never got to slam bones
Go to
together.
Pound Town.
Yeah. And then below that, we see Darkseid just sitting there
I would love to think he's like sitting there cross-legged just like this.
eating a veggie tray.
Yeah, eating a carrot, yeah.
Wonder what
Yeah.
him and Shaggy talked about.
I know, I love of all the people, that's who they're sitting next to. Just these two kids that found their way next to Darkseid, who's just behaving very
Yeah,
wonderfully.
he's not
Oh,
omega
yeah.
beaming anyone.
No, no.
He's on best behavior
Wouldn't
for
dream
some
of
reason.
it. So then Desire speaks. They take the stage and says that had they not been family, Dream and Desire, their lives probably would have been enriched. They didn't like hate each other. They just didn't work together. They're always at odds. And Desire says about Dream, he never had sense enough to come in out of the rain. Which I feel is like a pretty good description of Morpheus as a whole. He would rather just stand there and pout than, like, not be miserable.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that Morpheus got along really with any of his siblings?
Just death.
But even then, like, they kind of butt heads.
Yeah, but I feel like he had at least a respect for death. I don't know if he did for too many of the other ones.
I know,
Destruction, maybe.
Yeah.
But then I
But
feel
you
like he
don't see a
almost
whole lot of
disowned him, too, because, like, you left.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Like, I looked up to you. You
Yeah.
fucking walked out.
I know there was, like, a whole chunk where him and Delirium go on, like, a little adventure, but that was almost just, like...
He can't fucking stand her.
Yeah, it was just, like, to, like, appease her or whatever, so...
And, yeah, I mean, it would be kind of interesting to just, like, try to picture who the Endless are in, like, a traditional nuclear family. Like, well, that person's obviously, you know, the screwed up younger sister and all that. Like, I mean, that's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
All these Endless gods are very human in their actions and their emotions, and they're very petty and all that, just like real people.
Let's attribute him to Malcolm in the Middle character.
That is a pretty good way to put it. Francis would obviously be Destruction. Left home.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Dewey, maybe Delirium.
Yep, I was gonna just say that was...
Malcolm, I guess, could be Dream, because he's kind of more the straight man, I guess.
Yeah.
He's never like... Well, is he kind of like down on it just because he's in the middle?
Yeah.
Kinda down on
I think so, I think so.
Maybe that is it.
Oh my god.
Chat, and feel free to weigh in here. 'Cause we're
What do you
probably
guys
going to
know
sit
about-
on this until we come to a suitable outcome. So if you'd like to get this moving, let's keep it going.
Take Lois as Destiny. Maybe.
think?
Yeah.
Or maybe Death.
Well, I think Reese would be more of Or no, I'm sorry. Not Reese would be
Francis?
Desire. Because total bitch.
Yeah.
Just out to hurt Malcolm.
Okay, yeah, true, okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Would Hal be Destiny?
Hal could be Destiny.
Yeah.
Oh, he's getting into a weird little adventure.
Yeah.
And then Lois? Does it make Lois Death?
She certainly would want to kill them kids. Oh boy.
Alright, I think we solved it. So we had a couple come in there, but
We got Lukenstein, he says poop.
Accurate.
We'll take it. Alright. If we can jump back to that last slide before we went on our Malcolm tangent, we also get a word from Despair. And this is a character that, like, I never quite know how to take this character.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of her or any of this.
Right.
But she reflects and says he was hope and she herself was doubt, and so she admired him for that. And I wonder, what is the story around the first Despair they mention? They always mention that she's like the second incarnation of Despair.
Yeah.
But we never get any hints of what happened before that. I wonder if that's explored in any of the tie-ins. And she says, and you will forget. Death or life will take him away from your minds, but I shall remember him. And then she cuts herself, as she always does. And I'm assuming that is to make the motion of, like, leaving a permanent scar in remembrance of painful events. But, yeah, I don't ever quite know what to make of her. Found her very off-putting at the beginning, but then the more we see, she's more mysterious.
Yeah. And I also think, too, like, she's, like, the one member of this family that, like, everybody... like, kind of...
tiptoes around?
Well, tiptoes around, but, like, also, like, admire isn't really the right word. It's just, like...
They have...
I guess get along with the easiest? Like,
Yeah. Or they pity, maybe, and just
Maybe
kind of, like,
that.
keep their distance and, like,
Yeah.
don't really rag on her
No
too
one
much.
ever butts heads with her.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested in more, because I've heard the Endless Nights miniseries, each one is about a different member of the Endless.
Okay,
So
cool.
it's just like a solo story on each of them. So
Sweet deal.
I'm intrigued on that, because I would like to get more on some of these other siblings. We are next greeted by a very old Wesley Dodds, the Golden Age Sandman, who is speaking, and he says, all the things in my life worth living have been a result of my connection to this dead gentleman. So he was the one that was inspired to take up the guise of the Sandman, the gas canister spraying vigilante from like the Golden Age era, which I thought was cool. And then Matthew finally arrives, and despite his hesitancy, he opens up and just kind of lets it all out in a very real human unburdening of his soul. He isn't eloquent, he doesn't say anything like life-shattering, but it's just like he's just letting it out.
For real. It was very cathartic to read. Just him just like releasing all of his like pent-up frustrations pretty much.
Yeah, because through this whole thing, he's like, I'm not going. I can't go. What am I going to do there? What am I going to say? I can't be around these people. I'm a fucking bird. Think I want to be a bird?
What happens to all these other birds? Nobody's ever told me yet.
I'm thinking about getting out of being a raven.
Oh, shit.
So then, next up, we journey back to the castle with Daniel, and he's met by a visitor, one that we might remember. It's Destruction, carrying his knapsack and all of his belongings like a hobo. And he says, "You're my brother." Daniel says, "You're my brother," and he says, "More or less." Says, "You've never been inclined to listen to my advice in the past, but things change, don't they?" Daniel says, "Yes, they do." I'm like, okay, we get it, Neil. We get it.
Okay, alright.
And then Destruction has a line that I liked quite a bit. He asks Daniel to leave with him, and Daniel declines. And Destruction says, "It's astonishing how much trouble one can get into and out of if one assumes that everything will somehow or another work out for the best." Which I like. I like that. Because Dream is so caught up in doing what he has to do. He has to do his duty, he has to watch, he can't like step out of line, and Destruction was just like, fuck it, man. He's like Peter in Office Space, where he's like, I'm just not gonna care, and like, it'll work out. And if it doesn't, like, that's fine too.
Yeah.
I like that attitude, where he's just like, I'm fucking done caring. Like, what's all my worry gotten anyone?
Yeah.
You know?
Dead or pissed.
Yep. Exploded.
Yeah.
Beheaded.
Yeah. A lot of gross things.
Yep. And then, as it kind of wraps up here, so the narrator of this, who is just an unnamed, omniscient narrator through this whole thing, describes the scene as if he's talking directly to us, and he says that we were there. And I mean, look at that. There's a bear giving a eulogy. How
Is that the
amazing
same? Is that the guy who turned into a bear?
Fuck, it has to be. I didn't put that together. That's good. And it has some really great lines where he says, like, "And now, because this is a dream, you must never forget this is a dream. The mausoleum is now a bridge. Death talks to you all as the boat begins its passage down the stream, and her words make sense of everything. She gives you peace, meaning, and she bids her brother goodbye." It's like, that's wonderful. You know?
Yeah.
You would hope at the end you meet death, and like, it just makes sense. It just all clicks, you know?
That like image too of like just the boat going under the bridge and like death just like looking at it float away on the bridge.
Yeah.
That's a great mental image.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she's
An image
red.
in the book.
Yes. You saw it, then you immediately shut it, and you let your mind fill in the gaps.
That's right.
And she's dressed in red. Everyone's like, "Oh, aren't you always in black?" She's like, "Not today. Don't know why, but
wow, I broke this old ditty out."
Yep. Looks great.
The whole old homecoming dress still fits.
Yep. After that, they have. I think we've got two more slides here in this main chunk, Paul.
Yeah.
They go back to the castle. Everyone's kind of going for the food after the wake, I guess. And Daniel forgives Lyda, who's his mother, and basically says, you sought vengeance, but that is a road that has no ending, as we found out. And then as he's journeying through the castle, he runs into a young Alex Burgess, who's lost in the catacombs of the Dreaming, and Daniel gives him a light to return home. So Daniel is just forgiving and forgetting left and right.
Yeah.
Like, these are all people that wronged him in the previous life, and if it was Morpheus, you would fucking shut the door on that kid and say, "Game over."
Game over, bitch.
But yeah, the new Dream, he doesn't play that way. He's like, you know what? Change is in the air.
Yeah.
Changes.
Yeah.
And all is forgiven.
Yeah.
And they move on, and he sends all the dreamers home, and then we get the last page of this I would say, of the book. Like, this is the last thing chronologically in the story. Daniel opens up the door. He's going to, like, officially meet his family in his new form. And the narrator says, and then, fighting to stay asleep, wishing it would go on forever, sure that once the dream was over, it would never come back, you woke up. And that's it.
Yeah.
So we've been privy to all of these events, and then it's over. We wake up from it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That was I love the ending to that.
Yeah.
That was so awesome.
Oh yeah, chef's kiss.
Double chef kiss if I could. Could I do that?
Wow. Ooh, you didn't even give me time to chime in and say, I don't know if the stream can take that out of NSFW content. We've been warned in the past.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
God, it was a great wrap up to the series there. But it wasn't.
Nope.
Now, so you said in our chat a few days ago that you're like, man, that last issue sucked. It wasn't the best, but the one directly after this one and the one following it, I actually liked quite a bit.
Right. Right before you got here, we and Dave were kind of like testing each other on it to see what we thought about it before the show or whatever.
Edging each other.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I missed out.
And I think we're all going to be in somewhat of an agreement.
Okay.
on
I think
all
so.
of them, yeah.
Okay.
So that was like the second ending of Sandman proper.
Right.
Because the funny thing is, I thought the previous volume even ended with kind of enough of an epilogue that I would have been okay if that was the end.
Yeah.
And then we get the epilogue volume
Yep.
where there's 3 issues that are the way. And that is like officially the cap on
Yeah.
Sandman. But then there's 3 more issues which aren't the cap because they take place prior to that.
Yeah.
And I think, with the exception of maybe one, those should not have been at the end of this. They should have been thrown somewhere else in the story.
I had that thought that maybe that they were totally planned to, and then they just didn't. But they also semi fit the end of the book.
They did. It's just not what I would have wanted this to end on. I
But
like
these-
the feeling of how this one that we just talked about, like, that was like closing the book and being like, wow, that was Sandman.
Yeah.
And then you're like, almost, there's a bit more Sandman. And then by the end of it, you're like, all right, I think I'm good on Sandman.
So these last 3 issues came out after, actually.
They are
in real life.
73, 74, and 75.
Because I thought for a minute they'd like keep the main story together and like, oh, these were some one-offs that came out like maybe in between the issues or whatever.
Because they've been known to do things like that.
Yeah.
Even in the Sandman volumes, they've
Yeah.
kind of collected them like that. But no, this is the way they were published.
Odd.
Yes. Guess he just wanted to end on like a nice hard 75 number, and he was gonna write whatever he had to write to get there.
Well, let's take the
Let's
first
just
one.
get into it.
Yeah.
The first one takes place at a Ren fair.
That's right. It's called an epilogue Sunday morning, and this follows our friend Hob.
Yeah. Who you find out is Hob.
Yes.
I guess.
I had my suspicions.
Oh.
He's a very hobbish looking fellow.
Yeah, well, yeah. But yeah, it's like this couple starts out and she is super stoked to go to this Ren fair and he's like reciting her actual history and like, that's not really how it happened. There's not enough people with goiters or whatever here.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Enough pig shit.
It doesn't smell enough like shit for me to like it. And you're like, God, this guy kind of sucks. And then you realize, oh no, it's Hob. He's lived through all this stuff.
Right.
And
Sees
then,
no joy in reenacting like horrible time periods.
Yeah. But I do like it that he's found like another love, you know, and she's found something that's
another love, hating Ren fairs.
Yeah.
His new passion, his new lot in life, going to Ren fairs and just
dumping on him,
getting drunk and then passing out under a tree.
Like when he's sitting at like not even like the Ye Olde Tavern, but just like the bar
table.
area.
Yeah.
And the tavern wench, I guess, comes up and he's like, would you like me to top you off there, governor? Or whatever she says. And he's like, First of all, I'll give you $100 to never say that again. Just keep giving me beers. I'm going to keep pounding beers all night. When you see me have an empty glass, it better be full in a second. Don't fucking talk to me like that ever
And
again.
keep everyone else away as well.
Yeah.
And by the end of that, I was like, Hob, there's not going to be enough to cover your fucking bar tab, let alone give her anything for her troubles keeping these people away from you.
But anyway, she's game.
Yeah, she's up for it.
Oh, yeah. Thank God a break.
Yeah.
All I gotta do is give this guy beers. That's my job.
Right. By the end, she has to pay extra to cover his tab, though.
Yeah, he is pounding beers, and then you find out it's still like mid-morning or
It's like
something.
1 o'clock.
It's just noon, and he's like
The
wrecked.
tavern opened at noon. Yeah, but he's just going around hating everything there, talking about all the historical inaccuracies. He would be the worst person to be around in this.
He would,
One that's
yeah.
just like, actually, it wasn't really like
Yeah,
that.
I was thinking the exact same thing. This guy would be miserable to be
yeah.
around.
Always talking about slavery. And like,
Yeah.
God!
Really
God!
good into slavery.
Stop!
Telling his black girlfriend about slavery.
Yeah.
Really, Hob? You think
Yeah.
you've got the best perspective on this?
You've had a lot of time to live your life, and you haven't really picked up on social cues yet.
Right.
Good one, Hob.
He was a slaver, though, so he does have a bit of a background in it. But he learned from the error of his ways, I guess. We're blowing through some of the pictures, but we discussed a lot of that there.
Yeah.
Paul, if we can jump to 18 real quick. Hob visits a bookbinder there, a ye old bookbinder,
Yeah.
and sees one of his own books that he bound back in a past life. And he sees the inscription, it's to Laurel, and that was one of his lost loves from way back.
Yep.
For a second I thought it wasn't that woman from the cemetery, but that would have been well after.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he's sitting there binding a book by candlelight.
Yeah.
But he's had a couple that really affected him, it seems.
Yeah.
And then after that, he goes and just trashes himself.
Yeah.
And as he's drinking, he spots this old shack, and he's like, "What's that? That looks honestly like everything else has like a Disney World polish to it."
Yeah.
So he sneaks in there, and lo and behold, he thinks he's alone until he stumbles on a goth-looking young lady,
Yeah.
and it's Death.
Yep.
Okay, so first off, I love that he went into this old building and then just lit a candle, just being like, "This is what I like this more
Yeah.
than like that out here." And then when it pans and you see Death, I was like, I love this.
This is where I found out.
Kill him, Death!
Yeah.
Kill that motherfucker!
I mean, I found out it was Hob like before this, right? So,
Yeah.
but when he did go in here and Death showed up, I was also thinking like, "Oh, I fucking love this.
Yeah.
This is
Time's up.
great."
Yeah.
But, she's up.
And not to kind of spoil the end, but like, it also had a twist that I wasn't expecting that I still really, really liked.
Yeah,
it
same.
seemed very true to Hobbs' character through
Yeah.
all this, where he's like, "You know what? I think I'm just gonna stick it out a little longer,
Yeah.
you know, just to see what happens."
Yeah. I love
Even
that-
though I've been complaining about literally everything since I've been here,
Yeah.
it's better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah. But it's like she didn't she was just like there to offer him. She's like, "Hey, I know Dream's dead. So like I know you guys were buddies and I know like this thing you've got going on with him where you're living for as long as you want to,
Yeah.
I guess, but he's like, if you don't want to, that's what I'm here for."
Spoilers, he's not going to show up next time. If
Yeah.
you get my drift.
Yeah.
And also, would have been nice if you guys consulted me on this whole no death thing. I feel like I was really kind of kept out of the discussion on that. But Hobb has, I think, one of the best lines in the entire series here when he's describing death. And he says, Paul, if you want to jump to 19, so you're not just looking at me read something off my notes. He says, "Death is a funny thing. I used to think it was a big, sudden thing that would swoop down and carry you off. I don't anymore. It's a slow thing. A thief who comes into your house day after day, taking little things here and there, until one day you walk around your house and there's nothing left there to keep you. Nothing to make you want to stay. And then you lie down and shut up forever. Lots of little deaths until the last big one."
Yeah.
Like, that is
Yeah.
a really good way of putting, like, just kind of aging out of everyone else around you.
Yeah.
Like, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Imagine that's kind of how a lot of elderly folks feel as they're, like, living out their last days in a nursing home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Remind me to never become a minimalist, so I have
Yeah.
less to say goodbye to. It's like, well, I did that in like 15 minutes.
Wait
Goodbye,
a
bro.
minute. Luckily, I've been prepping for this.
My whole life.
You tuck yourself in. Inside joke, Troy sleeps like a Dracula.
I do sleep like a Dracula. It's very cozy.
Oh, I bet it is. Do you tuck yourself in? Or do you
Oh,
have
yeah,
Chelsea
I get
tuck
all.
you in? Get you all-
I make sure I steal a lot of covers.
And then just kind
And
of
just like
wiggle your
wedge
way in.
myself in and just go for a dirt nap. And then you just go right out.
Just every night, it's a flip of the coin. Maybe I'll wake up. Maybe this is some.
Maybe I'll turn into a Dracula.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, either way, stay out of the sunlight.
Yeah, I
friends.
will.
Alright. So as we said, he declines Death's offer. He's like, you know what? And you think he might. A lot of this, as he's describing the little deaths, but he's like, no, not today. Maybe not ever. And then off he goes. And he goes to like sober up under a tree, take a little nap while his girlfriend goes and like plays with all her friends. You're like, what is this guy? Like her dad? Is he just like taking her around to these little carnivals?
There's one thing they mentioned where she was like questioning about his age, or they were talking about age, and she's like, I've seen your driver's license. You're 32. And I'm like, bullshit, he looks 32. That's like how Homer Simpson is supposed to be like 34 or some shit like that. It's like, no fucking way. This guy looks like 56 or some shit like that.
It's the beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all those fucking wrinkles and old people things he's got all over.
And the slavery.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Nothing a 32-year-old would do. So he falls asleep under the tree, and then he tells Gwen, his girlfriend, when she returns, that he had a dream where he met Destruction and Morpheus on a beach. And there isn't much to it. He sees Dream, and he says, you're dead, aren't you? And that means this is just a dream. And then, like, they all laugh and walk into the sunset. They're like, well, Dream didn't laugh. Like, me and Destruction, we had a hoot. I'm like, that's actually a pretty ingenious way of saying that, because, like, it's all a dream.
Yeah.
It's always a dream with Dream.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if he's dead or not. It's a dream. But even if he was alive, it would still be a dream.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. You know what I found the most odd in this issue here?
Huh.
Is that Gwen just gets butt-ass naked right there and changes in front of, I guess, everyone?
Yeah.
Like, there's like a dude just walking by, he's like, hey, Gwen, you here for the show? And she's got like her tits out, and he's like, yeah, whatever, just pushing them up in that old-timey tavern wench thing.
Didn't have dressing rooms in Renaissance festivals or something.
That was the one accuracy that Hob approved of.
Yeah.
All right. So, anything left on Old Hobbs' Tale?
No, it was great though.
Very
good issue.
That was a good one. And that one would have been an okay epilogue if I stopped there.
Yeah.
I thought, like, that's enough. Give Cobb one last moment to shine.
Yeah.
But then we go on to Exiles, which is a companion piece to one of the short stories in Fables and Reflections, Soft Places, it was called. Like, the part of the dreaming where reality kind of blurs and time all blends together, and it's just like an endless desert.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where Sandman gets his sand, his dream
Could
dust.
be.
So an advisor to the Emperor of China is exiled for his son's crimes, and he is sent out to wander the desert. He loses his guides, encounters a kitten, saves the kitten.
Oh, yeah.
And among other lost travelers from different time periods, he runs into Morpheus. Shortly after Morpheus killed Orpheus, I think that's when that took place. And then after meeting with him, he runs into Daniel. And they have a talk, and Daniel kind of puts him on the right path. The advisor wakes up and meets his party and heads off on his journey. And I just thought this was kind of a nothing. I didn't care for this one much.
I didn't get into it until like halfway through. Probably, I would say when he finds the kitten.
Yeah.
That was like a turning point for me. But like all the stuff beforehand when he's kind of like going through his family history or whatever, I'm like, oh, we are this far into it? Like, I don't give a shit about anything you have to say until he finally gets actually doing something. And then I turned around on it. Ended up liking it.
Yeah, so if we can show the artwork.
Yeah,
here,
the art is the biggest
artwork
departure.
is fantastic.
Yeah.
All ink, no pencil. Opposite of old Michael Zulli. and it is very good, but it is also a little hard to make sense out of anything on like a first glance, you know, because it's kind of that Asian like heavy ink line work.
And it's like all black and white with like little snippets, kind of like how you see there with little bits of color in it. But yeah, it's probably the biggest departure in artwork we've seen in this whole series. I just love the idea of the soft places. I think I like the last one. I thought I'm as far as where this fits within like the whole scheme of things, that's debatable. I think, but like I really enjoyed this, and when Morpheus and other Dream kind of show up, I loved that. I loved that conversation where he talked to Morpheus, and he's like, you know, like I can't exactly remember what they were saying, but they were going on with it, and then he walks just a little bit, and he sees him again, and he's just like,
but it's Daniel.
Yeah,
so
and it's a different Morpheus, and he's like, weren't you just there? And he's like, no, we met a very long time ago. Like it was.
I'm white now.
Yeah, it's just a very cool. Like it was just one of those like cool big picture idea things that fit into this weird soft places area, and I just enjoyed that.
I do really like the idea of the soft places, but both of the stories centered around them I didn't like at all. I was just not into the characters, and I thought they were just kind of long and draggy. And like I really would like to like them. I think it's a cool concept, but for whatever reason I was just like, get past this and on to the next one. But Morpheus does mention that other one where he says, like, I too was lost in the desert once, and someone gave me a drink of water, so I'm giving you a drink of water. But that's about the extent of how he helps him. And then he just leaves him out there, and then he meets Daniel, and hey, Daniel's a better guy, and he's like, let me put you on the right path. Like, you're helping that kitten out, so I'm not just going to leave you out here. Not an asshole.
But it's a cute little kitten, though.
It was a cute kitten.
One element of this I did like, because it is all these different times mashed together. He sees like these relics of modern time, and he comes across like a claw machine,
and
just uses it and makes a bridge. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? When I first read it, that completely washed over me, and then when I went to grab the images for the show, which I guess we should show here since I did grab it, Paul 22. You see him like pull this out of like a little candy crane machine and make a bridge, and then he's off on the bridge.
I like that image of Dream there as well, sitting there.
Yeah, almost looks like a shaman.
Yeah. You get to see like a thing, like a horde of like Roman soldiers too, or something like that too, which wouldn't fit within like his time period either. And it was really cool because I think he says something in Latin or whatever that Dream speaks back, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then if you go to the next one, Ball 23, we see where he meets Daniel, and Daniel even offers him the role as his own advisor. He's like, I like the cut of your jib, man.
I killed Fiddler's Green. You want me the new one?
And the guy turns him down. He says, no, it's my duty to follow the Emperor's will. And I wonder if that's like a little correlation to Dream's duty all that time. And Daniel says, everything changes, but nothing is truly lost. Which makes sense. Dream changed. He's not lost. He's a different person. Which we've gone through ad nauseum. And then, as we said, he awakens and finds his meeting party and continues on to wherever the hell his emperor sent him. I guess the shit part of town. The bad part of the desert.
This one, I did agree with like you, Dave, that going into it, I'm like, what are we doing here? This one eventually did turn around on me, though, when I ended up liking it. I wouldn't say I liked the first third of it, though. I couldn't give a shit about whatever he was trying to set up.
Sometimes it takes a very long time to get into what the story is actually about. This one and the previous one, the Hob one, which I did like, but it's like the first 15 pages are really superfluous to what the actual point of the story is. And I get it. It's human stories, so like it just shows people being human and telling stories, but like I mean, you're here for the whole thing. You're not reading it just to get to the end of these, or else you're gonna be sorely disappointed. You're just here for the Sandman experience.
Yeah.
By this point, I was good with the experience. Like the stuff that I really cared about, it had wrapped up,
Past, yeah.
and now I'm like, I don't want to like start a whole nother thing. You know.
Yeah. Well, guess what? We still got more issue.
We got
One more.
We got more issues.
Got more issue.
One more issue.
Paul, what'd you think of that one? That gummy kicked in yet?
Sorry, guys. There's a bit of a delay. Gummy's in full effect, so.
So is the delay an actual delay, or is it a mental delay?
Is there anything cool in the chat going on? Can you cut to the chat? Sorry.
Paul just deflecting. Paul had a rough day at the office today, so cut him some goddamn slack.
Cut him some slack.
Last time he was here, he had to photograph a dead body right before he got here. This time, he's just, his head's spinning. Give the man a break.
Very interesting fella, this Paul.
Yep. The more you know about him, the less you know.
Exactly.
Sounds like a Neil Gaiman quote right there.
Exactly.
Feel free to use that in the Netflix adaptation, Neil. All right, so let's conclude this whole thing.
Yeah, the sands in our hourglass are waning.
Oh man, can we do it? Can we get in under the hour? This is The Tempest, the final issue, 75 of Neil Gaiman's Of a Sandman. And this concludes the bargain that old Willie Shakespeare made with Dream. Dream gave him inspiration in exchange for William to write 2 plays for him. The first of which was Midsummer Night's Dream, which was for the Fairy Kingdom. And this one is The Tempest, which was Shakespeare's last play. And throughout this, William reflects on his life, the sacrifices that he made for his stories, and how he saw himself in all of the characters that he wrote. And then he delivers The Tempest to Dream. They have a chat, and it all winds down. A little bit more, but we'll get into it. I don't just want to spoil everything, but yeah. Any initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts, Dream in this, worst look for Dream.
Yeah?
Look at him. Oh, can you get back to
Look
that
at him.
image for
Look
a
at
minute, Paul? Look at that look.
He looks
Looks like a bitch.
No, he looks like.
Well, like, it's Shakespearean times.
Yeah, but he looks like an old school lady. Like an old school
He
mom.
looks like the villain to the Hunchback of
Yes.
Notre Dame.
Oh, John Lithgow.
Yeah. Guys, this one, probably my least favorite issue of Sandman ever.
Really?
I did not care for this at all. I know.
What a way to go out.
I know, right? So, like, I knew I kind of forgot William Shakespeare still had another part of his bargain to uphold. But if I didn't see it, I would just assume that he did it. You know?
Yeah.
And so, like, I know William Shakespeare is a huge literary figure and probably is a huge inspiration to Neil Gaiman. Wanted to maybe do a send-off to, like, his big inspiration or whatever.
Do William a solid.
Just fucking kill me. This... I found this one so unbearable that I fell asleep probably 4 times during this issue.
Oh,
This one stunk.
It's also like a double-sized issue.
Yeah.
Or maybe it just felt like a double-sized issue.
Yeah, it felt like a double kick to the nuts for
I
me.
like most of this is just Will's wife and child bothering the shit out of him.
I thought you would have really... I thought this might be another man under the pole situation for you, where you really identified with William.
I kind of did. Like, when he's trying to work and his daughter's like, what you writing about? Writing a funny book? Mom said you should write more funny books. And it's like, oh my god, get the fuck out of here.
Leave him alone so we can end this fucking issue.
I'm trying to finish this last play so I can die, thanks.
Yeah. Be rid of all of you.
I'm going to the bar.
It's pouring rain. William, you're going to catch your death out there. Don't care. Go into the bar, lady.
Did someone say death?
Oh,
What?
my lord.
Wow, get this on camera.
Look at that. Business manager. Scoot over.
Oh!
Paul, you don't need that much headroom. She's not that tall.
I do have tall shoes on.
All right. So you came to give your final thoughts on Sandman, right?
Or your final thoughts on Will Shakespeare.
I am
You're-
giving my last condolences to the DreamStream.
Ah.
That's what I'm
last
here.
rites.
Yes, I'm going to say goodbye to the DreamStream.
You had a great run, and now it ends. Triple slap to the death.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for joining us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You came in right as we were talking about how much of a burden William Shakespeare's family is.
Okay.
His words, not ours.
All
Yeah.
right.
And I stand by him.
His wife
Understandable.
was awful.
Yeah.
Just a ghastly
Was she
woman.
like that in real life? Must have been.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Neil just wanted to drag her. All Neils.
All Neils want to drag Will Shakespeare's wife.
So, if we can get back on track here.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad you showed up. These are very nice
I'm
paintings.
glad you
Yeah.
wore black.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Neil didn't get the memo.
Yeah, it's a little festive for.
He's happy to be done with it. Nah, we all liked it. I didn't mind this issue. I just thought it started off horrendously. Not that any of it was bad, it was just a slog. Troy
Yes.
thinks the whole thing was a slog. I thought it did pick up once Dream arrived. But like for the first 15 or like 18 pages, it's Will like going about his day and talking with these people that kind of inspired him and avoiding his family. And I'm like, where is this going? And then finally he finishes the play and Dream arrives to get it. And then like it picks up and we get like some insight into Shakespeare and what like the play means in the grand scope of things, which I was like, okay, that makes sense. And really, like, would Neil Gaiman have ended this any other way? It's very Shakespearean. Shakespeare's Tempest was his last work. This would be his like coda for the final issue. But we can get into all this here. I'm just checking my notes here.
Could anyone else not read the bubbles that were part of the play?
Yeah, those
Like
were
the
hard.
scripty ones?
That was hard to read.
I was
Yes.
struggling to read those. Like, maybe it's because I haven't read cursive in a very long time. But I don't think that's
But it was hard.
It's
cursive.
hard.
Yeah.
It's old hard cursive, and it's like Shakespearean. Like none of the words are in the right order. Like it's all that.
All this romantic gobbledygook. I thought it
Oh,
was.
sorry, you gotta end.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess
Cut
that's
the
it.
stream.
Pull out every plug.
Okay, sorry, continue.
Oh, he just pulled the man off life support that we have in the corner here.
Oh God.
We've been keeping alive just for this one last stream.
Sorry, guys.
All right. I do like that this issue explored like the emotional toll that Shakespeare's work took on him at like the expense of his family and other passions, and just like he was essentially just living vicariously through his works, and he just felt obligated to keep putting out these plays and everything. I kind of related to that in the areas where like he is like the greatest playwright ever, but he wasn't having a great time doing this. He's just remembered for all these great works. In the act of doing it, it was not a blast
Yeah.
for him.
His douchey friend reminded him
Yeah.
of that often.
Yeah, and he was struggling through the whole thing. He was like, just gotta do this last play, and then I can finally put this goddamn pen down. And just like, he wanted out of it.
So why is that guy his friend?
Oh, that
I
guy was a
don't
piece
know.
of shit. As soon as that guy got out of there, it got much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That guy fucking stunk. He should end up in a ditch somewhere. My old Bill Shakespeare's hand. You don't like my plays, huh? Bang! Kicks him out of the yield carriage and gets him fucking out of there. Can you imagine a suit from Bill Shakespeare right to your freaking
Oh
literary
my
mush?
God.
Oh, that'd be pretty sweet.
That would be pretty awesome.
Hell yeah, it would. God damn it.
Paul, if you can go to 24.
What are the Young Bucks doing? Double Bill Shakespeare kick.
Taps on the boot.
So, if we can get back on track here, we're already over time, guys. We gotta wrap. We gotta bring this
like
thing
it's
in
ever been.
under budget. We gotta bring this in under budget because it's not coming in under time. So I like that Dream visits him, and Shakespeare is just like picking apart his work, and he's like, "This speech means nothing. I wrote it so that the actor could sink a beer and then change his gown off stage." And this lady's speech is pretty, but it's pointless, as
Yeah.
he's saying. He's just looking at it really critically. It's like, what am I doing here?
Mhm.
All these things I thought were great, like, I just did that to kill time. Or, like, he's really picking apart his stuff. And then he asks Dream, why did you ask me to make this story? And Dream's like, you want me to tell you? You really want me to tell you? Follow me. They go into the kingdom, the Dream Kingdom there, and they have like a little chat, a little heart-to-heart. Share a drink there. So if we can go to 26, Paul. Will asks Dream, why did you choose me?
Words are hard.
They are, especially this late in the game here. And what would my life have been like if we'd not met in that bar? Dream tells him that he would have lived a fairly normal life, but he would have been unsatisfied, and he would have always been kind of pining for the stage. And Will saying, like, was it worth it? I watched my life as if it were happening to someone else. My son died, and I was hurt, but I watched my hurt and even relished it a little, for now I could write a real death, a true loss. My wife sleeps in her father's bed far from me, treats me like a foolish child. Just looking back at his life, like, I suck. You know, like, I'm a real piece of shit. And I also wonder, like, how much of Dream's powers are we supposed to take that inspired Shakespeare? Like, would Shakespeare have been able to do any of this without Dream's dream powers to awaken that inner inspiration?
I don't know. Because even without it, it seems like he would still pine for it. So maybe he just gave him a little nudge.
Like this spark
Yeah.
there?
So maybe it was like, it's been within you the whole
Yeah.
time, but I
Yeah.
just gave you the push to do it
Yeah.
type deal.
And I wonder if that was like maybe Neil commenting on, I don't know if this is a very well-known theory or if it's even still something that people talk about, but for a while there was like this preconception that maybe Shakespeare's stuff was written by like a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that was kind of his take on like, you know, maybe it was. We'll just say like he got inspiration from someone else here, and that's kind of their way of handling that, as if it couldn't all come from just this one guy.
Yeah. I don't know.
And then if we go to 27, Paul, we find out why Dream commissioned The Tempest. And he wanted a tale that ends gracefully rather than in tragedy, about a king who drowns his books and his staff and leaves his kingdom because Dream himself cannot leave or change. He says, I'm the prince of stories, but I have no story of my own. And then Will finishes the epilogue of The Tempest, which pretty much just seems to express his own desire to retire from writing, and he ends it saying, let your indulgence set me free. And that's the end. It's the last Sandman.
What a whimper.
It wasn't my favorite. I think I get it. I get why he ended it this way, but I would have much preferred that it just ended with 72.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that was a great ending.
Yeah. Is it open to much more, even like leaves it more open to your imagination.
Yeah.
Of like what could fill in. Like these last three like aren't necessary, but I liked, you know, 1.5 of them.
Yeah. It had a Lord of the Rings ending, you might say.
Oh my god.
It's got to end in all of the places.
Yeah. And this is another one that, like, you could have kept this issue and just put it somewhere else. You know, put it before the kindly ones, and it would have been just fine.
Yeah. But it wasn't.
Nope. So that was the last Sandman story, with the exception of the last Sandman story, which was an 8-page short that Neil Gaiman and Dave McKean did for this collected Dave McKean cover volume called Dust Covers. And it wasn't really like an in-character Sandman story. It was just kind of Neil Gaiman reflecting on the Sandman stories and looking back at like real-life encounters that they've had with characters in their lives that like were apparently the Sandman characters made flesh.
Okay.
And he talks about like a bunch of people said they've met Death, the character of Death, before. Neil, apparently on Halloween, met the double-mouthed demon from hell. He says like it was absolutely him. Like I ran into him in this Halloween parade, and he told me to bring him back in the story, and that's why why he came back in the Sandman story.
No way.
Yeah, yeah. And he
All right.
mentions how like Alan Moore said he met John Constantine in a bar somewhere. So he's like, yeah, like I guess sometimes this stuff happens, and he's like, ask me in the daytime if I believe any of this, and I'll say, of course not. He's like, but ask me at night, and my answer might be different.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, it's just kind of a good way to like look at it. Like, you know what? It's like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I made these characters. They came from my head. But, you know, like, who's to say? Who's to say what's real, what you believe, what you're feeling in the moment?
That's right.
So that was it. That was, Paul, I don't even know if you showed a little picture that I had of that one. There it is. Yeah, from Dust Covers. And this was collected in my Sandman Omnibus Volume 2. It's the last thing in there. I don't know if it's collected in
It's not
trades.
in this last
Yeah,
trade.
it wasn't
no.
in the digital stuff either.
Okay.
That I saw.
It was, I mean, it's nothing. It's another epilogue to this. But it was kind of cool to see Dave McKean on some interior artwork. Yeah. And they're very reminiscent of his Sandman covers, so it's kind of in that style. But that's it. That was just kind of like a personal ending, and basically just about how he created this and how reality can kind of blur if you let it.
Cool.
Wow.
And that's Sandman.
That's Sandman.
We got to an end.
We did. We got to several ends. Oh man. Victory lap? Anyone?
Mary in the chat, she says the last thing she has in here. I found that the issues that are hard to read through are slightly more bearable in the audible version of the Sandman, only because of the great voice acting and the music.
Yeah.
I have yet to listen to that.
We've heard on multiple occasions that it's top notch.
And
James McAvoy's dream of actor I never would have pictured for Morpheus, and I loved him in it.
Yeah. It's on the back burner of some. I should just listen to it on the car ride home. Just start
Yeah.
for just a reason to do it or something. But
yeah, I did the first collection of it, and there is a second collection out, but I haven't done that one yet. Whenever they do the third, I'll probably just jump in and binge the rest of it. But it was very, very good.
Yeah.
He's a very angry dream, which I think kind of took me back a little bit.
I read him monotone.
Me too.
Yeah, same.
Kind of like how I read Dr. Manhattan. You know, like emotionless.
Yeah.
But like McAvoy plays him like pissed. And I'm like, that's
Which
kind of a
isn't-
weird way to do it, especially at the beginning when he's very angry about being trapped for 100 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's a
Yeah.
different take than I pictured it.
I don't feel like it's a not a correct take though. I
No.
feel like he's probably pissed too.
Some
I
passion.
mean, he talks in all black.
Yeah.
That's pretty angry.
Uh-huh.
But are we doing like an overall encompassing thing, or you want to save that for when we
Well, we
kind of
will
collect everything?
Yeah, we will reconvene, absolutely. And we're going to do a proper Imperius Rex episode, not a just train of thought live, which have been a blast. And I
Yeah.
feel like it really helped me appreciate the series, being
Oh,
able to
yeah.
talk through every detail. But we will do kind of an all-encompassing, real episode. But I do want to let you do some final thoughts, if you have some.
I just want to say something funny real quick. Josiah Haynes in the chat. I just got here, and the first thing I hear is, and that's Sandman.
He's following in your wife's footsteps there, asking you, what's this, when you're wrapping up Volume 10. Thanks for joining us, Josiah. You have a multitude of hours that you can look back on if you are interested.
Yeah. But anyway, what was your question? I'm sorry.
I guess any final thoughts on the series as a whole? We have a little bit left here before we wrap it up, but do you have any?
I'm glad now it's under my belt. You know,
Yeah.
it's been something I've been wanting to read
It's been your Everest. It's been all of our Everest.
for a
Yeah.
decade or more, you know? So I'm finally glad I got to do it, because I don't think if we didn't have a reason to read it for the show, I would have gotten to it in a quick amount of time, you know?
Can you believe, or can you imagine if I said, like, hey,
No,
you
I
need
can
to,
already stop
you need
you there.
to, that's your default action for any time I say, can you imagine if I, and by this point, you should be able to. The answer should be unequivocally, yes, Dave,
I can imagine. It sucks every time.
But no, like, can you imagine if I was like, hey, we're going to do a Sandman episode. Just read Sandman for the next show. Like,
You
might
would die.
You would get more out of just reading a wiki summary of the whole thing. Because
Yeah.
it's not something you can shotgun. I think we
No.
did it the best way.
Yeah.
Just doing month by month, volume by volume, and just analyzing it ad nauseum.
Yeah, I'm glad we picked this book to do this type of thing on too. Not only because we read it month to month, which I think was amazing, because if you shotgun this, you'd want to just die.
Yeah.
You want to shotgun yourself.
Yeah, you would. Just Kurt Cobain all over.
Oh.
But, sorry. But like also breaking it down as much as we did and getting thoughts on what we all thought, because we really ended up selling each other on a lot of issues.
Yeah,
that I
there's
think
a few trades we came in like, this one wasn't my favorite. By the end of the episode, like, it's my favorite.
yeah. I think because I think if I read this just month to month by myself, there are so many things I probably would have missed.
Oh, it would have just washed over.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the fact that we read it with a community here that kind of chimed in and showed a lot of things that we didn't catch, or like just the fact we can be like, hey, what's this mean? And then someone can answer it. We're like, all right, that makes me appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah.
And some of the, like, half the time we get a voicemail every episode and we're like, we never even thought of that. That's a good one.
Yeah, very
Why
insightful.
doesn't he do the goddamn show then? Yes, I am glad we finally read it. As I've said, I read half of it years ago and liked it, but didn't feel the need to like power through it. And then rereading it, especially those ones that I had read once prior, I liked those so much more.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm like, if I ever, God help me, read this again, I bet y'all like the whole thing even more than I did this time. Because you know what to expect. And a lot of reading something new is like, where's this going? How's this going to wrap up? And this is a book that it's not about that at all.
Yeah.
So if you appreciate that and know, like, it's not just about the end goal, you can really, like, sink in and be like, oh yeah, this is a story where they're in the desert, you know, or something like that. It's like, you're not waiting for something, you're just, like, able to take it all in and appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah. And I felt myself, and granted, what has it been? 10 months since we read the first issue? Or read volume? Like, one? Like, it actually had me pining to want to, like, read those again, like, right now. Because, like, they are so different from, like, what it has become and evolved into. And I, really just, like, it's maybe because I just watched that Netflix trailer again.
Yeah.
Like, this happened!
Oh,
like,
yeah.
so long ago, though, for us.
Yeah.
But, like,
I would say, like, do the audiobook.
Yeah, I think that's
it's
my next
essentially,
plan.
it is the story. It's just without the visuals. And there are certain parts of it where I was, like, lost, because I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I just hear noises. Like, when Dream battles Dr. Destiny, I'm like, this should not just be audible. Like, I need some visuals here. But then there's other parts where it sells it so much more, with just, like, the mood and the atmosphere and the sounds.
Yeah.
Do that.
I would also say, too, like, I was surprised almost at every turn of Sandman, because I really had no idea. I knew it was very literary.
Yeah.
So I kind of had that aspect going on, but, like, I didn't know anywhere where it was going.
Did you know that Dream died at the end?
I mean, I could kind of put it together.
I feel like I don't know if it was spoiled, but, like, I got enough of an inkling about it through, like, various pop culture things. I was like, yeah, I think it probably ends with him dying.
I mean, I don't think it was ever spoiled for me, but, like, maybe it's just hindsight bearing down on me now, but, like, a few trades ago, you could probably be like, he's probably going to die in this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of other ways it could go.
Right. But I had no idea where it would, especially from where it started, where it's kind of like, not your average superhero tale, but it's, like, kind of superhero-y.
It was very, like, 80s Vertigo.
Yeah. And then it drifts off into way different. And I would have never guessed where it could have gone. So.
And I like that this is like, you can't just spoil any of this in one sentence. Like,
No.
there's not, like, you couldn't
got an afternoon to ruin.
Yeah, you couldn't flip through you couldn't flip through Twitter and be like, this is how Sandman gets spoiled. So, like, that's probably one of the benefits. No one bothers to spoil Sandman.
Like, I don't even know what half these words mean. I've never seen them in this order. I don't know what a cluricon is. Or a boon.
Oh,
or a
we
sacrament.
still don't know what a boon is.
Did you have, like, a preference on one era or volume or aspect of Sandman? Like, it starts out, as we said, very kind of like Vertigo rooted, and then it becomes its own thing entirely.
Yeah. There is a point where I kind of miss, like, tales of the Sandman, like, having, like, kind of an action-y adventure type stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of pine for that.
Yeah, I think the first volume is probably the most action the book ever has.
Yeah,
Maybe
and I don't
the
even
only
need it,
action.
and I don't even need it to be that actiony, but like like the point where he fights somebody in hell, that was pretty like a big bombastic thing. Was that Trade 2?
That was in the second one, yeah.
No,
Pretty
2
sure.
was the dollhouse.
Oh, yeah.
They go to hell in like issue 4, where he has the rap battle with that double mouth
Maybe
guy.
that's what maybe I'm thinking of.
But like, it's not a fight. Like,
no.
I don't think he ever fights other than like Dr. Destiny. I don't think he fights anybody.
Maybe when he goes into I know what you're talking about. When he goes and he thinks he's gonna fight Lucifer, but Lucifer doesn't want to fight him. Is that what you're thinking about?
No, I don't remember now.
All right.
But it's no, it's when he like traps somebody in his crystal or something like that, or he gets the crystal.
Oh yeah, it is a hell thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
But like now, you guys are making me doubt myself, and I'm kind of stupid sometimes, so I kind of just go along
Should we
with
just
what people
convince
say.
Troy that he missed another issue entirely, or read like a different book?
So he's being a relatable over here.
But anyway, I don't ever need it to be like that action
Yeah.
or whatever. But like him kind of like having a huge consequence on like these people's lives, and like he went into the dream, or everybody's in the dream. He makes like a big impact on their lives, and for whatever reason, it's a huge ripple effect.
Mhm.
That was super interesting.
Yeah.
To me, and like that was around like the first 4-5 trades or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it kind of stopped being that for a while.
Mm.
And not that I didn't like what came after, but like sometimes I'm like, I really like that kind of stuff though. I kind of want to see a little bit more of it.
Yeah. I will say that this was a series that when it did have like its one-off stories, a lot of them were very hit or miss to me. But that's just kind of what it is. Not every story is everyone's favorite, and there's probably some that I didn't like at all that someone loved, and vice versa. But overall, just a very unique book.
Yeah.
I would say, like, unlike just about anything I've ever read.
Yeah.
There's
at
a
least
lot
in
of
the comic medium.
Yeah, and there's so much variety in it too. Where, just like you were saying with some of the short stories, you may not like all of them, but like you gotta give them credit for being just completely different that still fit within like this universe.
So I'm thinking about this like just now. So the Dream is the part of the Endless. He's been around forever, right? And he's like, all right, I need my mask, I need my my necklace, I need my pouch, I need all these things, except for like the last 10 years. Like that, and then it's like, I guess I don't. I'm just gonna do whatever and be a bitch for the rest of my life.
Turns out I didn't really need them.
Like,
You're gonna go stand in the rain.
Yeah. And so like it starts and sets itself up in the first trade. It's like, I need these things because I'm like an action person. And then for the rest of the book, it's like, I only needed that to sell books.
I mean, I'll put them on again, but I'm not gonna do anything with
Now
them.
they got you on the hook, I don't need any of that shit.
Yeah. Should we take a voicemail? Let's take.
I think we should take a voicemail. Yeah.
All right. So we've got some immediate thoughts, hot off this latest volume from Fiend of the Show, Sam.
Oh, shit.
Canadian Sam. And Paul, if you want to cue that up, is voicemail 1 from old Samuel.
The Wake. Half a volume to tell the story's end, to end the dream. And a handful of other stories jammed in the back because why not? Frankly, though, everything after, and then you woke up, feels superfluous, despite the enjoyment. Not you, Shakespeare. Let's talk about Matthew the Raven, who takes center stage in this finale as our emotional protagonist. Confused, scared, pissed off, depressed, and wholly human here, despite being a bird. The way Matthew rejects everything during the wake. The drunks, the dreamers, the women who fucked Morpheus comparing notes, Batman, and fucking Darkseid? Because death should have meaning, as Fiddler's Green shows. All of it alienates Matthew until he comes across the Endless, who, characteristically, have work to do and are getting on with it. Responsibility. They ask him if he's willing to speak, allowing him the opportunity to find catharsis in himself. Interesting, the Swamp Thing character going through the 5 stages of grief at the end of Gaiman's tale when the Swamp Thing goes through that at the start of Alan Moore's tale. Let's touch on New Dream, Dream Daniel, and how different he is from Morpheus. In the fleeting moments we get with him, we see a level of kindness that Morpheus doesn't have. One must change or die, and in the end, there were limits to how much he could let himself change. Lucian says of Morpheus, "This is how Dream changes beyond his limits." After all, true, worthwhile change will kill an element of yourself and replace it with something better. Hopefully. To me, for me, that is the profoundness in this volume. I envy those who are inherently kind, being that my default settings are asshole. Every attempt to change towards true kindness is Sisyphusian, because I will never leave my island. Anyways, how fucking awesome is Merv Pumpkinhead drunk off his ass wearing a top hat and suit? Can you imagine the Teamster of the Dreamsters rocking a top hat? Well, now you can. What a fucking legend. Merv's back, baby!
Merv's back. Wait a minute. Where did Bill go?
He went to go find Merv. I heard he was back.
He thought he had more time.
Did you find Merv?
Yeah.
Where was he?
In the bathroom.
I pulped him again. Very good email, or not email, good voicemail from Sam.
Yeah.
As usual, very heartfelt. Paul, I'm the one talking. If you could maybe point the camera over here. But I don't have that much to say, so you can keep it on. Keep it on. But no, awesome. Always great insight from Sam. And also noticed that Mary had asked if there's any books that we would recommend that are like Sandman. I think the book that I can think of that reminds me the most of it, like thematically, being like a story about stories, is the book The Unwritten by Mike Carey, who actually wrote the Lucifer series that spun out of Sandman. So it's kind of like a mishmash of like Sandman and Harry Potter. It's got like almost a satirical Harry Potter vibe to it, but it's an adult book, and it's pretty solid. This is another one. I think I was reading it around the same time as the Sandman. I didn't finish either of them. I was like, yeah, these are good. I'll get back to them. And I will someday. Just like this. But I think I got like 3/4 of the way through it. And just for whatever reason, just stopped reading it. Yeah. But it is a good series.
That's one I've never actually gotten to get to. But
Love
it's
the
one,
cover.
Yeah, that's what's always drawn me to it, is that cover right there. But I've never actually gotten to The Unwritten. I would also say Fables is close as well, and we've touched on Fables.
Yes, Fables is actually very Sandman-y, now that we think about it. I think Sandman is better, and I think it's more adult than Fables.
I mean, they're
like adult, not as like, oh, it's like in your face or anything. I feel like it just has more adult things to say.
It's got
adult context.
Yeah, Fables is an adult book. Like, there's like violent and sexy and things happening in it that is like adult oriented.
It's like
it's
a
more
Walking
straightforward
Dead adult,
to it,
though. Like kind of a shock type. Not even.
No,
maybe not quite.
No, but there's a point in Fables though that I do feel like I don't like it as much, and we've done episodes on it already. And granted, it was like episodes like issues 1 through 50, and then 51 through 150.
We read the whole thing in 2 episodes.
Yeah, so we cover a lot in 2 episodes, which probably didn't give it its fair shake. But I ended up liking it overall, and probably will read the whole thing again sometime in my life. But Fables is a close one.
And then I would say like any of the Sandman spin-offs are probably worth digging into. Like Lucifer, I've heard is great, and that one pulls right out of it. The character of Lucifer is the ongoing character in that. And then I guess there's a lot of books of like the dreaming, which I don't know. I think there's a whole like Sandman universe, especially recently. They kind of restarted it in DC and did like a Sandman universe, but I don't know like how well received it was. Like the new John Constantine book was part of that for a while.
Really?
Yeah, and it was all like kind of a mature label. It wasn't their black label. It was just this own thing, like the Sandman universe. But I'm like, I didn't read Sandman before that, so I'm like, I can't just jump in on this. I don't know what the fuck any of these characters are.
Yeah.
But I at least, like, I could flip through them now and have some semblance of what's going on and who these people are.
Yeah.
So I might be interested in seeing if there's anything worth reading in there. I know there's, like, a Corinthian book and stuff like that, which sound kind of appealing.
Yeah. I'm looking around the room, seeing if there's anything else that we may have missed.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Morrison stuff is a bit Sandman-y, not quite as literal as Sandman, but more like a metaphysical.
It's a little heady.
Yeah.
Swamp Thing's good.
Oh yeah, Swamp Thing's
Swamp
actually
Thing would be
very
on
good.
the same kind of emotional tone as Sandman. It's not going to read the same, but it's
a prequel if you're seeing it through the eyes of Matthew the Raven.
That's true.
That is where Matthew comes from Swamp Thing. I actually like Swamp Thing more, but I think they're both very good. Swamp Thing is just more my thing.
Yeah.
Than Sandman.
Yeah, it's same with me.
Yeah, like more of a horror slant than like a fantasy slant. Do anything else on the chat, or we do have another voicemail?
Well, Josiah chimes in. House of Mystery is very Sandman-esque.
Yeah. I imagine a lot of those like
Lock and Key as Sandman vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say Lock and Key is excellent on that, and I love that book.
Yep.
Fuck, I was just gonna say, Neil Gaiman did like a book of magic, I think Books of Magic, that he wrote right before Sandman that has a lot of the DC supernatural characters, and I think he did a book, Black Orchid, too, which I think he did right before Sandman. So those would all probably be worth looking into.
Sweet. Why don't we get to the next voicemail?
Let's get to this other one. This is from another Sam from Canada. Just joking, same Sam. But he, as a frequent caller, he had a few more things to say about the series as a whole. So let's let him kind of sign himself out here.
So, the Sandman. What is it? Well, as Neil Gaiman has been selling it, a story about stories. That's dead accurate. But also esoteric to understand without experience. What does it mean? What does it all mean, Basil? The philosophical ideas here are simple, profound, and true, but not necessarily new. Most come from poems that Gaiman read. The theological ideas of the endless are as good or better than any established religion. More logical than the vast majority of them, anyway. Again, though, not groundbreaking. Jack Kirby did that shit at least twice. The sheer, real humanity in this is the biggest draw for me. But again, comics have always told human stories. Because all stories are. That is where stories about stories, hoves and descents. All stories are. All stories are worthy. All stories are valid. All stories are told and retold, forgotten and misremembered. All stories are truth and fiction simultaneously. All stories are human. And all humans become stories. The idea, the formation, the maddening expansiveness, and even more maddening smallness. All stories are. And that's why this is so fucking good. Regardless of the minutiae, which we can and have been critiquing. Summing up, Merv Pumpkinhead, the shit. Fairies, exhausting. Destruction, a revelation. Wanda, groundbreaking goddess. Death, the greatest perfection in all of creation. Emo, no, Morpheus, sad emo boy. Shakespeare, a slog. But as a full work, as a story about stories, it is what it was as it was coming out. Revelatory. That said, I initially gave up after Volume 2 when reading by myself. Why? Let me start by saying that fantasy is the least appealing genre for me. Especially when given the set dressing that so much pop fantasy has. Furs, swords, fairies, beasts, wizards, heroes of valor, all that jazz. I mean, even when zhuzhed up with lightsabers or titties, still not that appealing. And Gaiman loves that shit. And is often that type of writer. So there's a lot of that in Sandman. Including my favorite story, A Game of You. But the human reality makes the fantastical irrelevant. Dreams shape the world, but cold reality reminds. It's just a dream. Admittedly, it does require some serious motivation to want to read stories about stories that have stories within stories and a bunch of short stories telling the same story and stories that don't have anything to do with the main stories, and how many more ways can I pad this out using the word stories? So if you're into the Sandman for one story, it'll throw you. Hence, quitting 2 volumes in, initially. It threw me. Couldn't see the forest for the trees. At the time of the Sandman coming to an end, Neil Gaiman was adamant that DC not continue the series once he was done. Which, given this line from the final volume, how can you kill an idea? How can you kill the personification of an action? What are you mourning? The answer, a point of view, strikes me. Why not have a different point of view? And of course now, we do. The Sandman universe has multiple writers telling new stories about stories. The audio and television adaptations bring in different perspectives, experiences, and points of view. And I'm happy to have that. For what could be more apt for a story about stories than to continue telling stories? Somewhere in the Sandman, in story, in dream, there is the purpose of our existence. And to present it, I'd have to tell you a story.
Sammy done did it again.
Did it
in
again.
the same episode.
Yeah. Now you're just flaunting it. Do we need to Zoom Sam in here for the next DreamStream?
No.
I think that's good because there's no more. This is the last one. Shucks. And who knows what day or time it is in Canada right now. There's no way of knowing. But as always, very insightful. Thank you for sharing that. And I am constantly in awe at some of our Discord members and friends of the show where I'm like, why aren't you guys doing the show? Because that is way more well thought out than anything that I've put together. But also, we're always heavily drinking and being interrupted by children as we're reading or performing. So who's to say what we have in our tank if given full reign of our talents?
Right.
We'll never know.
My tank is always half empty. At most, half empty.
Someone filled my tank with sugar. So it doesn't run, it just sputters out and like does this a lot.
Yeah. I went to my filling tank completely once. I accidentally put diesel in, fucked up the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, buy a new car, right? Only way to be sure.
Anyway, that's it.
That's it. Show's over. Go home. Wouldn't that be something? That's how we ended 10 2-hour episodes of live streaming.
Shoot.
So then I filled my car up wrong. Good night. Sweet dreams.
We get. Anybody else put in a voicemail?
That's it. Unless anything came in under the wire, which if it did, tough shit.
Put
it in the chat.
We like typing.
Technology isn't there yet. But that, I think that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Good deal. What a fun adventure Sandman was.
I agree.
I mean, we've already kind of wrapped that part up, but just re-emphasizing again.
Who would have thought? Could you imagine?
Oh. Let me rephrase my usual point of view. Yes, I could imagine, and yes, it was fine.
Would you recommend Sandman?
Yes,
Yes,
obviously, yeah.
absolutely.
It was a good time.
Mhm.
Yeah. Especially if you can read on your own volition and like really absorb it.
Yeah.
And like things that you want to expand on more, you can just like put a bookmark in it, go get your background information,
yeah.
come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how many things we read in this that I had no reference to whatsoever.
Same.
Where I was like, I should look up some stuff about Rome, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was like, we got the show to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, like, I won't. But, like, maybe someone will chime in and fill me in.
And think about how I'm coming at it as a dullard. Like, be like, what does that mean? Well, hopefully Dave or Neil knows, because I'm not finishing this.
Is this issue taking place during Gladiator?
No.
Because that's my basis for anything in Europe after a certain time period.
But no, really, if you can just sit down and read at your own pace, like, Sandman would probably be just exquisite.
Might be the perfect rainy day armchair book.
Yeah.
Oh, cup of tea.
Oh,
Just
my
gray,
Lord.
drizzly day on like a nice, firmly stuffed chair.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
God, with a caged bird
Oh,
near you,
my God.
if
Can you
possible.
imagine? Oh,
gonna
my
get-
Lord.
We're gonna get an SFW. Oh my God.
OSFW, only suitable for work. But yeah, Sandman was great. I would recommend it to put near everyone.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That book everyone's been saying is the best comic of all
Yeah.
time. Turns out, not half bad. I feel like we've been kind of on a streak this year, and I know it's early. We're only halfway through February, but we just knocked out Sandman and Saga.
Mhm.
If you tune in next week, we're doing our full-on Saga episode, something that a lot of friends of the show have been clamoring for.
Yeah.
And we were finally able to dive into that, and
Yeah.
wouldn't you know it, amazing.
Yeah.
Very
Spoilers.
different, but also equally great.
Yeah.
And another thing that I would just recommend about anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
So that's Saga.
Yeah.
Right, everybody.
I'm glad everybody could join us for this last installment here for Sandman. This isn't the last time we'll touch on it,
That's right.
but it is the last live show we'll be doing on it.
Mhm. And yeah, as we said, we will return to Sandman, fill in some of those gaps, and we do have some stuff planned for whatever the next live-ish book club thing is going to be. We don't know quite what it is yet, but
Yeah.
it's something where the gears are spinning, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm just going to drop a name that I've been toying with, and this is what I want to work out. Grant Morrison.
Oh boy.
I saw your lip just twitch
Oh.
when I said that.
Boy. I
Okay.
think I know what it is.
Yeah, it's been something I've been getting the itch for, and I'm just figuring out how to do it right, how to do it best by Grant.
Okay.
Get him on the show.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see what we can make happen. But yeah, that's something that you can look forward to. In the meantime, we're going to switch gears on the show. We have 2 more episodes in our standard Imperius Rex definition coming up. We have Sandman, and then we have the ever so topical Moon Knight that we're going to be doing.
Saga, you mean?
What
You
did I
said
say?
Sandman.
We're going to
Which
do
we are doing
Sandman
right
again.
now.
All right.
Which you
Cut
weren't
there.
wrong.
We'll just back it up. Oh shit! This is why we don't do these live ones, because we're all fucking idiots. No, we're gonna do Saga, which is in the can, and Moon Knight, which we're gonna record right after this, and then should we say it together?
I think we should.
We are going to light up that bat signal,
Oh
and
my
we are going to
God.
return to
Bat
Year. That's
Oh
right.
my
Yeah.
Kicking off alongside the new movie, which looks phenomenal, by the way. We're going head first, ears first, into the Batverse.
Oh my God.
And we're just going to be following up that initial Bat Year high and touching on all these great or terrible Batman works that we've been itching to talk about.
Yeah.
And it'll go as long as we want it to go. We're
Yeah.
not putting a cap on it.
Yeah.
It won't be a year, I'll tell you that much. None of our year things are ever a year.
At a point,
the only thing that was Sandman, and that was the one we didn't call a year.
Yeah.
But, yep, we're coming back to Bat Year.
Yeah.
God
Can't wait.
help us all.
God help us.
It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
Some parts of it will be.
Yep. But until then, I think we just gotta, wrap this thing up.
Sure.
Big thanks to our producer over
Yeah.
here, PK,
Yeah.
who's been at our side every step of this journey
Yep.
into the dreaming.
Give him enough pizza or chicken, and he'll do
Just
your live
about
streams.
anything.
I just wanted to say to the chat, I know this is the final stream for a bit, but I just wanted to pass this along that after tonight, we'll keep the compressor on for you.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's just thank God. That's all we've. That's everybody wanted to hear. You know,
That's all anyone could ask for.
My lord.
Keep that compressor on.
What a set.
Oh my God. Another big thanks to our friend British Neil. That's
Yeah.
Neil Bradbury from across the pond,
Mhm.
a friend of the show and a friend in life, who provided the wonderful vocals of our opening and ending, outro, intro, outro, the whole shebang.
Yeah. For every single episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
He did a whole custom one every single episode for what was going on in
That's
the.
right. I
like-
surprised him with it usually the day before. Like, hey, sorry, it's that time again. Can I get this by tomorrow? And then he'd say, yeah, you bet. And then I wouldn't hear anything. And then I'd ask him again. He'd be like, oh shit, I forgot. I'm sorry. And then he'd get it to me. And that's just how we work best, under pressure.
Also like to thank everybody who joined us in the chat live and our lovely patrons who you see right here on the screen. Who,
a lot of
support
them
us month in and month out.
That's right. A lot of them in that Discord every day with us, putting in the time, putting in the work, reading the Sandman series right along with us. A couple of them dropped out, but they'll be back.
Yeah.
It's a lot to handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once you're in like the Discord, you're privy to like what we're currently working on as well. So you get to like be in on what future episodes will be.
That's right.
Which
You
is
may
kinda
be
fun.
asked, how would you do this show? Or how would you review this book?
If we were to say not read it, what would you say?
It's only happened once that we know of. But yeah, big thanks to everyone, all the supporters, and even if you're not a supporter, you support us with your presence.
Yeah.
And we
That's right.
appreciate that. Quite a thing that we've all done together here.
Yeah.
5 years in, almost 5 years to the day. I believe we
Oh,
started
for real?
Imperius Rex like in March, way back when. What, 5 years back when?
Incredible.
I watched one of the early episodes you did. Unbearable to me. It is
Good.
It is
I watched
like,
one from like a year ago, almost unbearable.
But my lord. But if you are, if you want to be a member of the Discord family, you can do so by joining our Patreon. By there, we have a few different tier levels and different rewards through those tier levels. And if you're interested in buying merch from us, we have like Redbubble stuff.
That's right.
On
These
Redbubble.
aren't things that like we're getting rich off of. These
No,
are just
it's
things
like
that
if
we've
you-
basically put on Redbubble so we can buy them, and then they're also there. And I think we make like maybe $1 from like a T-shirt that's sold. So we're not like really whoring this out.
No,
we're just
no,
like,
no.
well, we kind of made this for us. But if you want to flash some Imperius Rex merch or get a shirt with Troy under a pole or something,
Oh,
this is
my
probably the only
lord.
place you're gonna get it.
You better believe.
And we
that's
do
the
have
only
some
place.
new merch coming out too. We're gonna have this amazing Hellfire Club piece that I had commissioned, which I believe I showed you.
Yeah,
Very nice. We have a Bat Ear original piece
Mhm.
that I am waiting to unveil because it looks phenomenal.
Yes.
Awesome.
I've seen the prelims of
Yes,
that. That's
yep.
great.
And just a smorgasbord of other things that we cook up. Mostly inside jokes, but those are usually the best jokes.
Those are the best T-shirts.
That's right. Yep. And yeah, as we said, next week is Saga. And also next week, if you tune into the Power of X-Men podcast, That was a podcast that we had the pleasure of guesting on in the past, and the showrunner of that, Dayspring, Paul, another Paul, actually appeared in some of our X-Men episodes last year.
Yeah.
I did a little guest spot with them that's going to air next week, where they're going through the entire Age of Apocalypse saga.
Woo!
Issue by issue, episode by episode, and I got tagged in to do issue 321. Which I had no context what happened before or after that. I just went in and same old X-Men. But it was also a very infamous issue, which may involve Legion impregnating his own mother with himself.
Great.
So halfway through the episode, I was like, why did you pick me to do this one? But it was a fun time. So
awesome.
Tune into their podcast. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Good deal.
Nice.
But that's it. That is officially it, I think. That's all we have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with all those send-offs out of the way, thanks for joining us once again. I cheers you, infamous crowd out there. Until next time, I have been Short of the Max Extreme.
I've been Dinosaur Neil.
And I've been Ghost Hunter Dave.
And I'd like to just thank PK once again for joining us. I know he had something loaded up. But we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
You are now departing the Mysterious Imperius DreamStream. We hope your stay was restful and brimming with fantastic imaginings. Until next time, friends, sweet dreams and pleasant tomorrows. This has been Imperius Rex.